What's up, everybody? This is John again from Planet Potted, and today we're going to be doing this 2-gallon jar. This is an anchor hawking jar, comes with a clear lid, which is important for what I'm going to be doing with this because it's not a terrarium. It's actually going to be a small, well, a nano aquascape. So what I'm going to do with this is... So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of what's happening and why I haven't been posting. Long story short, the space that I had was probably going to be basically just too cold. It was staying around 65 degrees in there, and I am an animal person. Plants and animals are my life, and I wanted to make sure that I can keep the animals that I wanted in those terrariums. Long story short, that space still exists, the one that you've seen in previous videos, but pretty soon all of my videos are going to be shot in this space. I'm going to do a tour of it at some point, but for right now, we'll just talk about kind of where it is and the differences between the two. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to... Let me push this back here real quick. One of the reasons I wanted to get into this space is because I wanted... a couple of things, actually. I wanted a place for me to be able to put all of my animals in without an issue, and to do that I needed a space that was warmer, as I had said before. The space that I'm in right now is part of my breeding facility. As you guys know, that I had neon dragons, and I still do. That's not really going away. But I am going to be pulling that back because I'd like to start doing more reptile rescue. And in doing that, this bulb just fell off, which I don't know if that's a big deal. But the plant, the crown, is still alive. It still has rock wool in it, which you need to get out. Let me actually use this. I guess you don't need to get it out, especially with these guys, because they're used to being in a semi-anaerobic situation. I probably should have converted these outside of their pots in rock wool, but whatever. So anyway, there's one of our plants. A couple of months ago, I went to the aquatic experience, and when I went to the aquatic experience, I bought and talked with the guy over at H2O Plants. I told him what I was going to be doing. Basically a betta tank that was going to be a 20 long or a 5-gallon. I'm still planning on doing that, but I wanted to give myself a little bit more time, so I wanted to make this little scape, and it is a very small scape, as a temporary home for a couple of these that were outgrowing the space that I had. So I'm not exactly sure which piece of stone I'm going to use, or maybe even if I'm going to use 2 stones. Let's see. That's making a weird noise. Let's go with that. It doesn't have to be anything hard. So anyway, back to the space. The space that I'm in right now is around 500 square feet. I can heat it to whatever temperature I want. There's electric everywhere, and I can run humidifiers in here 24/7 and not really have an issue. And ultimately, that's what I want. I want something that's simple for me to do everything I want to do, simple for me to keep the animals that I want to keep, and this is the only space I can do that. So beginning 2020, all of my videos are going to be shot in here, and you're going to be seeing quite a bit of this space and how it evolves. So thanks for that. Thanks for letting me say that, even though, yeah. So anyway, we have this right here. I'm going to figure out where I want to put it. I do have a couple of other small things. Like I have this Monte Carlo, which I was going to just cut and put a couple of small pieces in here, but I'm beginning to think now it might be better if I put some larger pieces. So let's break it out of the rock wool here. And I'll just lay it down in front of me. And this is not doing well. I don't even know what it is anymore. And then I have some stem plants, which, again, don't really know too much about them. I don't really care. I told him a couple of very basic parameters. I told him it's going to be no CO2, no, like, ferts, just basically super low tech, betta tank. So he asked me if it was going to be high light, medium light, low light. I said I didn't really know because at the time I didn't know. But I told him I could do anything. This one right here is going to be on my plant rack, which in the community for aquatic plants, the light on my plant racks are medium to high light, low lights, and that's mostly because the light comes in from all directions. A lot of times with shorter tanks, kind of like this, even low light's considered medium to high light, and everything that's going to be on my rack is going to be low light. So anyway, I really like the look of that right now, in the direction that I'm actually looking at it. So we're going to fill this up. How are we going to do it? So this is some kind of stem plant. I'm just going to break it up into about 2-inch nodes. Cool thing about aquatic plants is it really doesn't matter how big they are, and it really doesn't matter how many nodes there are. So I think I'm going to put the Monte Carlo in the front here. I'm going to put this either in the back or right up front here. I kind of want this to be the spotlight though. And then maybe I'll do, because I have this stem plant as well that is pretty red. And I don't want it to be like red, red, green, green. So let's get this preliminarily placed right here, because I think this is where it's going to end up being. So like that. Now the sand that I'm working with might end up getting a little cloudy, because it's actually almost 15 years old. I actually bought that for my 55-gallon tank that I got when I was like 15 years old. I am now over 30, we'll say 32. So I have this Monte Carlo, which that's a good enough portion. So I have this Monte Carlo just with my tongs. I'm going to put this right here. Let that kind of chill. Put that down in the center. I'll fill this in a little bit more so it has more of a carpeting look in the front. Now, a lot of people are using the tissue culture plants right now. I am not a fan of them. I've tried them on several occasions, and unless I grow them out before I plant them, so dry start or something similar, I find them completely useless. It could just be the way that I keep plants. I don't keep them with CO2, but even the ones that don't need CO2, for some reason, when you get them as tissue culture plants, they just don't do as well. They take forever to rebound, and personally, I like the more instant gratification that something like this has. So this little red stem plant, I kind of want to put right there, which I said I didn't want red, red, green, green, but I think I'm going to put it, so here's what I'm thinking. If I put it right here, and then put the green stem plant behind it, this rock right here will anchor everything. The pink on that front rock will look good, and then all's well. Now I'm like 100% sure that when I fill this up, it's going to float up and out, but we'll deal with it when that comes. As you can see, these portions are very, very small. These portions are very small. That's all that they really need. So this is a bigger one. It has a root on it. I'm just going to stick the whole thing with the root in it. This is a bigger one. Right in here. There we go. So Monte Carlo can go back in here. Now this larger stem plant, I already forget which way is up. That's up. So we're going to put this in right back here, sort of between these two rocks. One more. All right, so those are in and done. I'm gonna go ahead and probably fill this up. I do have this, whatever that was. It did not convert well, and I think it's because it was shaded by a bunch of other plants. So let me just break this open. There's 2 of them in here. Or there actually might be 3. No, there's 2. So this is about the size of a tissue culture plant. Ones that I don't really like using, but I can see it does have a little bit of life to it. So I'm going to plant this right back here. So that way, no matter which side you look at, there's always a little something. All right. So for livestock, there's not really much in here. I may put a snail in here, or a couple of shrimp. I don't have really good luck with shrimp because my pH on my tap water is naturally around 6.2. So for things that require a lot of calcium and minerals, that kind of stuff, my tap water is not all that great. So there we go. Let's go ahead and gently fill this up. This little guy decided to go for a swim, which is fine. I'm actually gonna rip these roots off, twirl them around, and go ahead and place them once again. And that should be good. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of finish work. Don't eat that. That's really all we can ask for. So I'll wait for this to all settle out, and then I'll come back and give you an update once it's clear. Alright, I'm excited to see how that grows. Let me just show you this right now while it's not clear.